Trap is an awful movie. It's a very rare bad movie, in that it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie who hasn't really had a really strong movie in a while. Most of his films are always very intriguing, but never too scary or funny or mind-boggling. His movies recently are always a mix of the three. They usually leave you scratching your head, but not in a way like The Sixth Sense or Unbreakable did so long ago. M. Night knows how to make suspenseful movies, thrillers that always attempt to build on the scene that came before it, to bring more of whatever unsettling mystery, horror, sci-fi tale M. Night's conjured up. And sometimes they're just twisted stories of normal people, like Split, which of course ventured into surreal territory, but started out as a story of a man kidnapping 3 girls who try to deal with his split personalities to survive. That movie had this clever angle, and of course the charm of James McAvoy to hold it up. He had recently Knock at the Cabin, which had another intriguing idea. Menacing strangers, led by Dave Bautista, arrive at a family's cabin, threatening to sacrifice one of them, an act they believed would prevent the apocalypse. This was another entry of his that was a bit too safe. There's an issue in this film, which he repeats in Trap, which I'll get to in a bit. I'll just tell you now. It feels like no one's ever in danger. In that movie, they never really threaten the family, and in this, there's no real threat too. And like I was saying in Trap, we have M. Night at it again, only this time he's working for Warner Brothers. They recently gave him this brand new deal. We can release a bunch of new films under their banner. I guess, given his movies are usually a success, they knew, like, let's get M. Night Shyamalan to make movies for us. And this is what he came up with. I don't know, it just feels so tame, so simple. Like, really, M. Night, you could make whatever the fuck you want. This is what you made? This is like a movie that came out in 2007, directly to video on demand. There's just nothing special about it, and it mostly feels like a showcase for Shyamalan's daughter, Salika, who stars as the main singer in the movie, Lady Raven. And nothing terrible about being a good dad, and the girl herself, she could sing, but if you're going to build a movie at a concert, at least utilize these elements correctly. Use the concert in a way to build suspense. This is something Trap does not do, or at least do wisely. I'll just be nice. First, I do like the look of the movie. M. Night Shyamalan always makes his movies look like a discount David Fincher film. Like, you have those cold color grading moments. You have the blocking. You have the same type of just the way the film looks is always very cold and menacing. And he has this kind of Hitchcock approach. There's a reason Shyamalan was described as Hitchcock a while ago, because his movies are suspenseful. They're always creepy, and they always have some kind of crime, horror, or mystery element. And I like that. But Trap sucks, and let's get into it, guys, now and talk about why Trap just fucking sucks. So it stars Josh Hartnett as Cooper. He's a normal seeming guy who takes his daughter, Riley, to a concert for the popular singer, Lady Raven. But soon, Cooper and his daughter find themselves at the center of a dark and sinister event at this concert. That's at least according to the movie's synopsis. So what is this dark and sinister event? Well, surrounding the concert, the police have set up a barricade. Why? To trap a serial killer known as the Butcher, which by the name is a very generic name. Like, the Butcher is all you could come up with. It's not even menacing. I remember seeing the trailer for this movie and I'm like, the Butcher? Like, that's like something you would come up with as a temporary name, like in place of something that you're coming up with. The Butcher? Really? Anyway, Cooper, it turns out, is the Butcher. What? They revealed this in the trailer, but it's revealed like 5 minutes of the movie. So he realizes the police are setting up a trap to catch him. He's got to escape. But hold on a second. Why? Like, why does he need to escape? That's the question the movie does not even ask. And it spends the whole movie trying to answer it, and I was just so confused. This kind of sets everything in motion. My biggest issue early on with the movie and through the whole first act, why are the police looking for Cooper? We don't know why. Like, we know he's a serial killer. He's a dumbass. He goes into a bathroom stall and opens the phone to watch live video footage of a guy who's got held in his basement, which, by the way, is fucking stupid. You're in a public bathroom. Like, I get it. People could look over the stall. I don't know. It's fucking stupid. It's a dumb way to reveal he's a serial killer. Like, there could have been other ways to do it. They could have cut to the guy hidden away. I get they're trying to keep it in the moment. They're trying to keep him at the concert show. Like, oh shit, he's actually a killer. Sadly, they revealed this in the trailer, so it's fucking, I knew what was happening. But my issue is, why does Cooper have to escape? Like, if he leaves the concert at the end, like a normal guy just walking out with everyone else, who's going to stop him? Like, what do they have on him? They don't say, oh, we have your license plate. Oh, we have, footage of this guy. We have the camera security footage of a guy who looks like you. No, they don't show any of that early on. So it's like, why is he so eager to leave? Why is he trying to escape this trap? Because as it is, he's running around like a maniac. And I'm like, wouldn't he look more suspicious running around this concert like crazy, trying to, evade security, it just is stupid. It's just a dumb concept. The movie sets up the idea the police, have set up this trap to find the killer, but unlike a good layered thriller movie, they don't do anything with that. We briefly see some guy getting escorted away, and we hear over police radio that some random guy with a history of robberies was arrested, but he's not the guy they're looking for. The movie really does nothing to make us wonder why the police are there, or who they're searching for. They could be building suspense, but they don't do that. The main character, who happens to be the killer they're looking for, just finds some random employee and asks him why the police are there, and he just tells him. It's too easy. And even worse, now Cooper's trying to escape, but we have no reason to understand why he'd want to flee in the first place. And like I was saying earlier, like in Cabin in the Woods, fucking Knock at the Cabin, there's never anything we're truly worried about. Cooper's daughter's never really in danger. Cooper's victims are never really seen on screen. We just literally see one person briefly on a cell phone screen who Josh Hartnett says is his victim. We don't see anyone else in danger. And it makes this whole threat, this whole guy being this wanted serial killer, feel very surface level, and not like it's this real big issue to be taken seriously. The movie needs to show us what this guy is capable of instead of just implying it. Yeah, we see he's a quick thinker, and being at this concert we're all eyes on him, he's constantly trying to find a way to escape, whether it's through a stage door, or through a back entrance, or stealing an employee's ID badge. But the movie never really does anything with that either. Cooper never takes out a security guard and has to hide the body. We never see that this guy is really evil or really brutal. He never draws attention with all the walking around he does. He literally goes into all these back rooms and through all these security passes trying to find an escape, and not once is he questioned by security or police. If the movie were better, he'd encounter more obstacles. Maybe his daughter or his daughter's friends would come looking for him, and he'd have to kidnap them or, almost hurt them, like revealing his dual life to them to keep his own secrets safe. Then it'd be like, oh shit, like his dual life's about to split open. Maybe Cooper would have to kidnap someone at the concert as a way to escape, but the movie never does any of that. There's this mom who appears throughout the movie, a friend of the family. She keeps bothering Cooper, who couldn't give a shit. She's like, oh, our daughters need to get along. Meanwhile, he just wants to get out of the concert. How much better would it have been, though, if I thought Cooper had to take his daughter and the girl, the woman's daughter, if the kids met up, and then when the police finally closed in, Cooper took them to escape. He just figured, fuck it, I need some leverage. Instead, what the movie does is nothing. He literally just walks around a concert for an hour. Nothing happens. There isn't any planning or manipulating or trying to find an escape. He mostly just stares and waits while M. Night's daughter sings her songs until a convenient escape opens itself to him. He doesn't actively make the move as a protagonist to find a way out. And a movie is always bad when the protagonist acts passive. Basically, as the movie enters its third act, it becomes increasingly unbelievable. The movie really goes off the rails near its ending. Basically, Cooper convinces Shyamalan Jr., the singer, to smuggle him out with his daughter. And instead of saying some excuse like, oh, my daughter's sick, or making some other excuse like she's your biggest fan, he just immediately cuts to the chase. He shows Lady Raven his phone and he says he's gonna kill the guy who's just on his screen by remote if she doesn't get him out of there. Firstly, it makes no sense that this pop star Lady Raven would be allowed in the room alone with him. In what world would this famous singer be just given time with this random guy? Even worse, where there's this serial killer on the loose, it just throws all logic out the window. And the threat of Cooper about to kill this unseen victim on the phone is just lame. I don't care. It's just so lazy. There's no one we actually care about who's in danger. It's just some random guy we don't even know. We don't even know his family. We don't even see him being abducted. It's just... They show that at the end for a minute. And by the way, my audience laughed when they show the footage of the guy being abducted. Because it's all the way at the end. It's not early on. It was just funny. And it's silent. You just see a guy being pulled into a van. Honestly, you had to be there. But if it were perhaps the singer's family, or maybe we saw Cooper kidnap Lady Raven's sister, who let's say had box seats to watch the show, and now using his backstage pass, he kidnaps her and he says, oh, I'll kill your sister, Lady Raven, unless you drive us home. That would be more believable, okay? Than her somehow with no security driving a random guy and his daughter home from some concert that's already been highly watched by security. Now he just gets out with just the driver and Lady Raven. What the fuck? The movie just makes up its rules on the spot and runs with them. After Lady Raven drives Cooper and his daughter home from the concert too, the movie continues to suspend disbelief, but even worse, it gets boring. It's already been so stuck in place at the concert, now Cooper's at this house. But the movie takes so long to get out of this or establish any action. Once they left the concert, the movie should have ended, or at least had the cops come and capture Cooper in the limo. That would have been a good ending. Cooper thinks he's won, he gets in the limo, only to find out Lady Raven, with the help of the police, trapped him. That would have been cliche, but at least it would have wrapped things up clean. Like he thinks he's won, he's smiling, and then as he's in the limo, you hear the cops. It would have been bad, but honestly, this movie just drags shit out so much, it could have been better if they just cut off a lot of the ending. My question is, how is Cooper able to get past security and steal headsets, ID badges, push someone down the stairs, all in view of cameras and cops, and none of this comes up as a result of that? There's no consequences, no stakes being raised. The movie just remains the same, which is boring as fuck, especially for a thriller. If you want to make a good movie, you need things to change. You don't need to leave the location, but add variables to make the location feel different. More time should have been spent backstage. What if Cooper found a good way to escape? Like a door the cops didn't find, or a window props open, and then there's this ticking clock where he only has a finite amount of time to get out of there. The movie could have had so many suspenseful moments, so many ticking clock moments, but it just opts for such a simple route where Cooper's always in view of the concert. And I really don't know. I feel like it's to show off Shyamalan's daughter's set list. Like maybe he just thought, I'll just drag it out so, Salika can sing all these songs. I just don't know. There's a lot you can do in a setting like this, and the movie doesn't do it. And there's parts after they leave the location where the movie still makes no sense. After the cops get called by Lady Raven, there's this long sequence where Cooper locks himself in the house with his wife, who reveals she knew he was the killer and tipped off the police, setting the trap in motion in the first place. But wait, it still doesn't make sense, because why couldn't she just tip him off to the police? Why couldn't she just randomly say who he was instead of saying he's at the concert? Just say, Cooper, my husband, or whatever his last name is. He's a firefighter. They could have just said this is him instead of making this whole scene where they have to search a whole concert. Like, what's the point? Why send the cops on a wild goose chase? There's no rising action. They're just inside, they're talking, all while police are outside. And it's like, why doesn't Cooper try to escape? Why don't the police just, break into the house? He was surrounded before. What's stopping him from escaping now? The movie chooses when and where to apply its rules, and it's frustrating. You need to have a consistent set of rules to make a fun film, especially a thriller. Cooper can be this guy who always finds his way out of a trap, that could be his character, but he just finds such easy ways it's hard to believe, and he's incredibly dumb in some scenes. Like later in the movie, Cooper gets drugged by his wife when they're having this conversation, and it's hard to believe he wouldn't know he's been drugged, but the movie wouldn't show any scene before where he has to use the drug on anyone. We just see him grabbing a random medical bag, and he says to his wife, "Oh, you found my bag." There's no scene where we see him use this on a victim or anything. He never has anyone in his house trapped that he's worried about people finding. There's never a real sense of impending doom. And there's other interesting elements, like Cooper being a firefighter and knowing all these weird facts like carbon monoxide levels and how to use an axe. These elements are never used, he just mentions them in passing. And when he attempts to break down a bathroom door, it's not like the movie uses this or has it set up in payoff. It has all these tools at its disposal, but it never uses any of them. To create a successful thriller, you need to build a believable world and fill it with equally believable variables and traps, for the program to fall in. When your movie doesn't have that, it runs the risk of not being very thrilling, but a very dull time at the movies.